I want you to listen to the Solicitor General speaking to Justice Amy Coney Barrett in the oral argument before the Supreme Court on birthright citizenship. But listen for when Justice Amy Coney Barrett says the word, really? Because she's just astonished at what he's saying to her.
You resisted Justice Kagan when she asked you whether the government would obey within the Second Circuit a precedent. I'm distinguishing between opinions and judgments here. Did I understand you correctly to tell Justice Kagan that the government wanted to reserve its right to maybe not follow a Second Circuit precedent, say, in New York, because you might disagree with the opinion?
Our general practice is to respect those precedents, but there are circumstances when it is not a categorical practice. It is, and that is not
This administration's practice or the longstanding practice of the federal government? And I'm not talking about in the Fourth Circuit, are you going to respect a Second Circuit? I'm talking about within the Second Circuit. And can you say, is that this administration's practice or a longstanding one?
As I understand it, longstanding
Really?
policy of the Department of Justice. Yes, that we generally, as it was phrased to me, generally respect circuit precedent, but not necessarily in every case.
Here's the hypothetical. Ms. Smith brings a case in the Second Circuit against an executive action. The Second Circuit says it is facially invalid, totally unconstitutional. This executive action can never pass. That's our opinion. And our judgment is in favor of the plaintiff. It seems like the Solicitor General is saying, okay, we're bound by the judgment as to the plaintiff, but we're not necessarily bound by the opinion. And we can continue to use that executive action in the Second Circuit to other residents in the Second Circuit, New York and beyond. And because they didn't say we couldn't do it to them. There's no judgment with respect to them. So we'll continue, even though that now is in defiance of what is the rule of the Second Circuit. Now, that said, there was a debate among scholars in the 1980s, 1990s, in which there's this notion of intra-circuit, within circuit acquiescence. A couple of my colleagues at NYU Law School actually advocated this idea, but it was particular to administrative agencies, and administrative agencies given a role to try to create nationally uniform standards. If that's what Mr. Sawyer is thinking about, the Solicitor General, he should have said so, because that's more limited. If, in fact, what he and the Justice Department are doing is try to even expand that further, I think there's going to be a lot of blowback.